Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Racer X Exhaust Podcast brought to you by Yoshimura. Over 6 decades of four-stroke exhaust research and development. If you're serious, it's Yoshimura. You can go to their website, yoshimura-rd.com. They've got stuff for the new 2019 KTMs and Husqvarnas. You know what? I can imagine that somewhere deep inside the recesses, they are working on 2020 stuff. They haven't told me this, but we know the bikes come out earlier and earlier, and I have a feeling that Yosh is probably in the lab working on things right now. I might even get in trouble for saying that. This is not proprietary info. It's just something that I assume must happen because it seems like exhaust systems are ready not too long after new bikes are announced, and that seems to happen around May, June, July these days. So go to yoshimura-rd.com. That's our title sponsor of the show. Check out the latest issue of Racer X Illustrated. Go to digital.racerx online. It's an entirely different experience than the normal, cruddy, reading a magazine digitally experience. It's more like just looking at social media, like Instagram. You're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and reading excellent stories that I worked really hard on. Keep the lights on for us. Keep the magazine rolling. That's our thing. That's our thing. We do these podcasts. They're cool too, but we work really hard on the mag. So check out digital.racerx online. We're keeping it free for now. So you can check out our latest issue that just hit there and go to racerxbrand.com. 20% off your order if you type in exhaust in all capital letters. And now, forget 20%. How about 100% of this podcast? Podcast. Yeah, so let's get to part 2 of Joey Savatgy. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Joey laying it all out there. We talked about Zach Osborne. We talked about all the heat he got when he was announced as Kawasaki's new 450 rider for 2018, and how the results for the most part have been good, although he always wants more, and he's working his way through injury. Here in part 2, we'll get to some other topics. First of all, have his solid results on the 450 improved some of the responses that he's gotten from fans? And what the heck happened at Monster Cup? We all know what happened. He moved over to allow Eli Tomac to win the final race, sweep Monster Cup, and make $1 million. But we get Joey's take on the decision to do that. And by the way, we start this by continuing our conversation from the previous episode where Joey says he's kind of shy naturally, and sometimes he's walking to the pits, and he's not exactly being social and outgoing, and people misinterpret that. It's a long-running thing in this sport. Let's get to the convo. When a rider is like walking to the pits and he wants to like keep to himself, it always looks like, and this isn't just you, it's anyone. I mean, I've heard it even going back to James Stewart. It always looks like, oh, that dude must be either super pissed or super cocky. He must be one of those.
Yeah, cocky and arrogant. Those
yes.
are the two.
Or you're just mad and you don't want to talk to anybody because you like are mad at that. Like if you stare at someone, or if you don't acknowledge them, you must hate them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I've seen plenty of riders go through it. It's got to be tough because I guess that's not the way you actually are, but that's the way it looks.
No, dude, that's the thing. Like, and they're always, like I said, my people are always trying to be like, hey, dude, like, be more active on social media. Let people know who you are. And I'm like, dude, it's tough because I'm not fake, and I'm not throwing shade at anyone, but I can't post something on Instagram if that's not truly me. And I can't tell you how many people do that and make videos and post stuff. And I'm like, dude, I know the real person. And that is not what they are. Like I can't get myself to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just, like I said, I can't be a fake person. So whatever you see is what you get. And it's not always a good thing by any means. Like trust me, if I was a little bit more outgoing and friendly and posted more, like it probably would have gotten me some more deals in the past. But it's tough because it's hard to break. It's hard to break your character, and it's hard to do things that you're not comfortable doing. And for me, like, I'm not comfortable going out of my way, being over friendly and doing Instagram stuff and, like bringing people into my personal life. And that's just because it's my life. And I just feel like it should stay that way. Now, would the fans appreciate it more if they saw more behind the scenes and I brought them along more? Probably, but I'm working on it. And, and I trying to get better at it, because there is an advantage to being social media active or social media liked. Like,
Mhm.
you get, there's a lot of benefits. Unfortunately and fortunately, there's two sides of it. Unfortunately, you gain a lot more than what you used to for being popular on social media.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's a way to reach out and to interact with people who, whereas before you couldn't do it. So it's something that, I definitely need to get better at, because it's not going anywhere. Like
No.
Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, it's not going anywhere.
It's a really fine line that you have to ride because you've taken the high road in most of these whatever dramas or controversies or just a bad race, bad season. You've taken the high road most of the time, which you would think, not complaining, not making excuses. You never talk trash on Osborne, like I said. You would think that's the easy, good solution. But then I hear it flip back the other way, and people be like, well, the guy should be more mad or the guy should be more upset. Why is he not seem to be emotional enough about it when things go wrong? So I don't know what the solution is half the time. Like you were probably thinking, if I just take the high road and just stay away from the drama, that can't be bad, right? But then I
Yep.
think sometimes people want that.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%. People
yeah,
look for drama. They look for excitement, so
yeah,
like that they tried to ride that wave with the Osborne beef for so long, because
absolutely.
they
Yeah,
wanted to see something, like they
yes,
wanted the headlines Sunday morning to be retaliation and whatever Arlington, or retaliation in Indy,
yeah.
and like they wanted to see something. And like I mean,
You didn't give it
I
to him. You didn't give it to
no,
him.
I didn't give it to him, because there's no retaliation involved,
Yeah,
like now. Yeah, I could go on that topic for so long. And it's at the end of the day, the bottom line is that I would have done the same thing. And the bad blood that people think there isn't, and
yeah.
that's simply because I would have done the same thing. So was there hard feelings that night? Yeah, I was pissed, and I was upset, and man, there was so many things that I hated. But look at now, I promise you, I couldn't care less, because I've dwelled on it, and I've lost sleep, and thought of every possible thing that's happened, and remember every crash I had that year, and how many points I lost, and being docked in New Jersey. Like, dude, I've gone through it all. So it's so like worn out for me that I just don't care anymore. And maybe people probably there's probably a lot of people that hate to hear that, because they really want to see action. But
Yeah.
like I said, there's nothing. It's not like I show up every weekend like, all right, dude, I can't wait to get him back.
The time between that, there's like 2 weeks between that and then like the Hangtown opener. And everyone was afraid for your sake, like, oh, dude, the guy's going to be so bummed. Like, how's he even going to get up to go racing again for a whole nother series? And the year before, you won Hangtown and we're leading the points. So, well, this could be a series he could do well in. But we're worried, like, are you even going to want to go racing? So, and I talked to Osho a little bit about it. What did everybody try to do to get you pumped back up in the 2 weeks between that and Hangtown
Well,
that
yeah.
year?
I mean, Osho came out to Florida, and was here, and like that was one of the efforts. Like, he wanted to be out here, to be there, to be my inner voice.
Yep.
Like, obviously, if I'm here by myself and he texts me like, all right, hey, this is what you got to do today. Do an hour bike ride. On that hour bike ride, my inner voice is going to be so negative that whole time.
Right.
Like, why am I even doing this? Like, I'm over it. So
Yep.
so the big part of that was him being here, and like being positive. Like, hey, dude, this is the bottom line is this is what happened. We know the issues, we know what happened, and we know why you lost. And could you have finished the job? Yes. Did you ride great all year? No. So bottom line is that's the end of it. So put it out of your mind, and let's move on. We got an outdoor series to attend. We want to win that. Like, so let's put our focus there, and let's get things going. And like, as hard as we tried, it was it was one of those things where, like, man, I'm not gonna go out and admit defeat, but dude, like, we struggled with a lot more than just me.
Hmm.
You know, that I guess that's the best way to put your question earlier. In 17 and 18, we struggled with a lot of things that had myself involved, but that were not only me. So that was also what we dealt with outdoor. Like, we dealt with a lot of things that included me, but that
Yeah.
were not just me. And like, I'm not going to go on social media and admit that. I'm going to show up every weekend with the mentality of, all right, like, I've won before, so let's do it. And I really believe what the knife or the dagger in the back was my bike blowing up at Colorado.
Yeah, because you had it. You were about to be on your little comeback there and get a win.
Yep.
Yes.
And that was, we had half a lap left.
Yep.
And that was, I truly believe the tides had turned at that point. And that was a Hail Mary last ditch effort. Like, all right, dude, if we win this weekend, because the way the points were, we would have only been like 12 back.
Right.
And it was like one of those deals where, all right, dude, we win here, we take some points and we get the momentum and we go on a roll. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. And that's just one of those deals where, like, man, I truly believe that the wind were out of the sails and the dagger was in the back at that point, because you just busted your butt for 30 minutes plus 1.5 laps, and you had a lead. Literally could have rode the rest of the track in second gear and brought it home. And, to have that pulled out from underneath me, and that's just, it was tough.
You did come back and you won a little bit at the end of the year, but were those wins where you were like fist pumping, or were those like, things fell into place, kind of like that Minneapolis one at the beginning of the year, or were you feeling good by the end?
Well, that's tough because Washougal, we had made a change to the bike that happened to work out really well for there.
Yeah.
And that was like one of those deals where I was like, all right, like, this is what we should have had all year. And then we went to, I think it was Budds Creek next, and it was like, oh God, no, we went out for first moto, and 2 laps in, I was like, nope, this ain't it.
Oh.
and at that point, it's like, dude, I'm not going to go kill myself because the bike's not working great. And, and had we stuck with the setting that we had the rest of the year, I probably would have been better off. But we went with the Washougal setting, and it was wrong. And that was on me for sticking with that setting instead of changing. But I wasn't about to go out there and hurt myself because things weren't ideal. And obviously things are never perfect, but as far off in left field as we were for that race, I was like, dude, it's going to be a long moto. And it's just, dude, there's so many ups and downs. And I wish you guys, everyone reading this or listening, and, people from the outside could really understand what was going on and how I felt and like how things were happening. Like, it's unexplainable. And that's the bottom line. And it's crazy.
Well, yeah, because the tough thing is, anyone that's at a fairly high profile who people expect to win races, obviously I'm doing the same thing. We're trying to figure out when one guy wins and one guy doesn't. We're trying to figure out why. Why is that?
Yep.
And that's every fan to my level, anyone in between. And basically, we're never going to get all the info, right? Especially if it's a bike situation. You're not blowing your team out. If you're sick, you're saying that's personal. You don't necessarily want to throw that out there. So at that point, we're probably going to get it wrong. So we're trying to guess. No one's just going to be like, I don't know. That's sports, right? Everybody wants to figure out why something happened. So it's this game that will never end. We don't have the info. We're going to try to figure out something, and probably going to be wrong most of the time and you don't want to say it. So there's no solution.
Exactly.
Yeah. Budds was not good, and then that one ended. That was the end of your season there, right? You had Unadilla. Unadilla and Washougal went awesome. Budds was no good. I think you got hurt there, didn't you?
No.
17? Hurt your leg or foot or something?
Oh, I KO'd myself.
Oh, that's what it was. That's right. Yeah.
So 17 Budds Creek.
Yeah.
And that was another one of those things, dude, where it was like dumb because we qualified quickest and we went back out and everyone was freaking out like, dude. So after the finish line, Zach and a couple of those guys were like jumping over that little hump.
Yep.
And people were like, dude, you got to do it. You got to do it. And it was one of those things where I was like, at the time, I'm like, dude, what do you guys, do you know who just qualified quickest? I was like, I did. Like, so why are you telling me what I need to do? Like, I'm always open for suggestion, but like, let there be a time and a place for that suggestion. If I just qualified quickest, you should tell me, perfect, go do the same thing again, and it worked. And it was one of those deals where like, I got caught up in the moment, and I really just wanted to do it so that way they'd stop telling me. And it didn't work out. Caught my foot peg, things stepped out sideways, and that was the end of it.
Hey, gang, real quick reminder to check out Yoshimura-RD.com. That's our title sponsor here at the Exhaust Podcast. Over 6 decades of 4-stroke exhaust research and development. And by the way, just to keep you interested, we have a new podcast that will be moving to the Racer X Podcast Network. Coming soon! will be one of the main attractions, an event that you will not want to miss. A podcast you might have already listened to or might already know about, but it's moving to the RacerX Podcast Network. Coming soon. We'll start it with a preview of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. Coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. Can't tell you any more than that. Everything's top secret. Now back to Joey Savatgy and myself. So really a tough span here, like 17, 18. And then you said when the press release came out that you get the Cowie ride, people were hating on you. Do you feel like, because of the results, again, you're kind of hard on yourself this year, but the results have been pretty darn good this year. Do you feel like it's at least backed off or even turning a bit, the reaction at this point? No one could look, dude. It's going to sound like I'm just blowing smoke because I have you on the phone, but no one could say at this point you don't deserve the ride.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So like,
yeah.
Has the tide turned as far as people that were hating that said I didn't deserve the ride? Are they now saying I deserve it? No, because those.
Oh, no one's ever going to do that. They're never going to do that.
No one will ever do that.
No.
But have I shown up for? Let's see, we're 15 rounds in. Have I showed up for 14 of the rounds and done better than what probably everyone thought I was? I would say yes, with the exception of the first 2 rounds where the mutter and then I crashed the Phoenix. Mm-hmm. But after that, have I shown up and done better than what people thought? Absolutely. So do I think that I've proven my point?
Well, is it quieter? Like, are you not getting nearly the heat that you were getting 6 months ago or whatever?
Yeah. There's a lot more positivity on my Instagram and my social media in general. And you know, I think. And there's a lot of people, too, that see it. You know, like, I get comments sometimes that are like, dude, why are there so many negative people on this profile? You know, like, people are like, dude, the dude shows up every weekend, does his work, and he does well, and you guys still sit here and basically shit on him for no reason. And, you know, like, and those type of people are right. Like, it's just like people want to have a reason to not like me, and I haven't figured out why. And some of that might be, like, because I'm not a very open person, you know, and I'm not the most popular on social media. And like, so maybe they just feel like I'm a punching bag. But at the end of the day, like, dude, even when those comments are coming out, I don't give a rat's ass about anybody except for myself. And so, like, if I showed up this year and I did what I wanted to do result wise, that's all I cared about. Now, along the way, when I did it, if I shut up a lot of people who were running their mouth, it's icing on the cake. And if I proved a lot of people wrong that didn't have faith, it's even better. But I don't care what people say. And if I can show up on the weekend and I can do my job to the best of my ability, I'm perfectly good with it, you know. And if that weekend it's only 7th, well, that's only 7th. So, and we move on and we keep going. But like, I truly believe that I've proven my point and I have proven to be a contender. And, you know, obviously maybe not for wins every weekend, but I think I've shown flashes where, like, hey, like, had he done a few different things, like, he could have had a real shot at being up there at the end. So for me, like, I think that I've proven that I deserve, you know, I've deserved this chance and I deserve a future ride. And that's with that being said, there's a lot of people looking for rides.
Right.
And so, like, that's also a slippery slope because, you know, you go out and say, oh, I deserve a ride. And then you get blown out because people are like, oh, what about this guy and this guy? Like, why do you deserve it? So I think I've proven my point. You know, I think I'm a good 450 rider. And I think the team has done a good job. And my transition has been about as good as it could. And we've led laps. We've won heat races. We've been fastest qualifier. You know, we have some top 5s. And that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, I think in like an earlier era, and maybe this is part of the reason the advice you get from Ricky is what it is. It was like, if you just say, scoreboard, I'm here to do the work. I don't need to talk about it. I'm just going to let the results do the talking. I'm staying away from the drama. I think that worked at a time, but now people expect something extra. I'll tell you this story. So when I was leaving Monster Cup, Brian Deegan was there, and he's like, hey, what's up with Savatgy? And I'm like, well, I don't know. What do you mean, what's up with him? He's like, dude, people are hating on him so bad. I'm like, yeah, I think he knows that. I'm like, hey, but Brian, you're the marketing master. Why? What did the guy do? I'm like, why do people bash on Savatgy so bad? And he's like, he thinks it was because when bad things happen to you, you just kept quiet about it. You know what I mean? You didn't lash out at people. You didn't get revenge or whatever. And I think in a certain era, that was actually the way you should have gone about it, and that would have been fine. But nowadays, people want more. But then if you do too much, and they get mad too. So it's a really weird world we live in now where
Oh,
they want you to talk trash, but not too much trash.
no, you're absolutely right because
Yeah.
maybe in an older era or in time before me, not saying anything was the right thing to do.
Yep.
But so now you have to worry because you have the fine line of, hey, if you start saying too much, you're a complainer.
Yep.
And you're
Yep.
somebody that just complains and makes excuses. So
Yeah.
you really got to watch what you do on certain situations because you can very quickly be labeled a complainer or a whiner. So
Yeah.
it's like, dude, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because if I don't say anything, people, they want to hate on me for not keeping the fans in the loop or for whatever reason. And now you start saying too much. Oh, this guy's a crybaby. All he does is complain
Totally.
and that. So it's like, dude, there is no right. It feels like.
Eli Tomac got taken out at Foxborough last year, and he complained about it, and then half the people said, "Damn right," and then half the people said, "Stop complaining." And
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's a lose-lose. It's
yeah.
like, dude, what do you want us to do? Like, what's the right thing to do? Is what it feels like sometimes.
Right. Okay. Last topic got to hit the at Monster Cup. Eli said in interviews that he didn't talk to you in advance of the race. There was no strategy. There was no plan. He didn't even know. You just did it. So that probably didn't help. By the way, you probably got buried even worse after
Oh,
that
dude,
one.
that was so gnarly. Like, honestly, so these are like, I would say, I can think about the top of my head. Monster Cup, the press release,
Yeah.
and Nashville. I got so many threats.
Nashville.
Dude, the death threats and like the people that were just blowing me out for taking Roxon out on purpose in their mind. Like in their mind, I'm like, they're like, I can't believe you took him out. Like, you suck. You should quit. You're a squirrel. And I'm like, yeah, because I wanted to go face first into the ground on purpose, like, so honestly, I would say those three that I can recall are the worst, is the worst amount of I guess comments and hateful stuff that I've received in like ever. And the Monster Cup thing, dude, was never talked about because it was the only thing that was ever discussed was we were sitting on the spin bike side by side, and I said, "Hey, Eli," I said, like, because I didn't know the dude. Like, I've seen him, like I've seen him around, and we talked to each other a little bit at dealer signings, but like, dude, this is our first race together. Like, I don't know how the dude operates. I don't
So
know
just
how
because you were on Pro Circuit Kawasaki and he was on Factory Cowie doesn't mean you go way back multiple
No,
days at the test track on the box van hanging out.
exactly. Like,
Okay.
I'd never even been around the guy
Oh,
because
okay.
the K1 test track by the freeway is only for 450 guys. Us on the lights bike, we're not allowed to ride there.
Oh,
So
wow. I
yeah,
see.
that's just the sound issues, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But so like, I didn't know the dude. So like, we're warming up, and I'm trying to be friendly just because I'm new and I'm trying to be nice and like keep everything good. So we're sitting there and we're getting ready to go for the third moto and we're warming up. And I said, "Hey Eli," I said, like, obviously you're gonna have first gate pick. I said, like, do you know where you're gonna go on the gate? And he's like, "Yeah, I'm probably gonna go here." And I was like, "All right." I was like, like, would you rather me on the inside or the outside of you? And he's like, "Oh, you can do whatever you want." And I was like, "Well, dude, you got a lot more on the line than I do." I was like, "So at least if you have a preference, like, at least tell me because I'll work around that." Like, and that was the only thing that was ever said. I just asked him where he was lining up and if it mattered if I lined up right next to him on his inside or his outside, and that was the end of it. What I did at the end of the race, is out of pure and it's so hard for me to think the wordage. Out of respect for him and the situation, I would have expected him to do the same thing to me if the roles were reversed. And that's just because I think that's race etiquette. I think, him having what he had on the line and him clearly being the fastest guy there that night, it was one of those deals where, like, for me, I felt like I had proved my point. I got a good start in the first and the last moto. I ran up there. I led a few laps. Like, we did good for having the amount of time that we did on the bike. I felt like, hey, I proved my point, and I'm not going to burn this guy out of the money just because I want to lead to the checker flag. And he's right. There was nothing ever talked about, and it just was something that I did because I felt like that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, you winning that race or finishing second, it's not a massive difference for your life, really.
No.
But for him, it's literally $900,000.
Yeah, like, and don't get me wrong, like, it would have been awesome to win, like, in my first 450 race ever to win a moto.
Yeah.
But, again, because even if I did, and had I not let him by, it would have been World War III in my comment section.
Hey, yeah, you're right. I never thought about that. The other way, you probably would have gotten heat too. Like, what is this guy, stupid?
Yeah, like I can't like you're the worst teammate ever. I can't believe you wouldn't let him buy. Like you're a scumbag. He had a chance to win $1 million and you took that and then the fan, like you didn't even care about the fan. The fan had a chance at $1 million and you didn't care. So it was like,
Oh
dude,
yeah.
no matter what, I was gonna catch slack for it.
Sounds
So
like you
like
got some experience being on that side of it.
hey man, you get you get really good at like knowing basically how to avoid or what to expect in the situations from both sides.
But you do think it's getting better, right? It
Yeah,
has to.
yeah, no.
It has to
I
be.
for sure like
Yeah.
follower count wise is going up. It's a lot more interaction on the social media. There's
Yeah.
definitely um a lot more positivity.
Yeah.
A lot more people that are stoked with how I've been doing and there's obviously those people who are like, dude, I've been believing in you since the beginning. Like I always thought you were gonna be good, on the 450 and like and that dude that's always encouraging because I guess my thing is, and this is just how I look at things, if someone's doing well, I don't understand why people want to see them fail. And so like obviously I want to be the one succeeding, but like for instance this year, obviously we've had our run-ins before, but you can't do anything but give the hat off to Cooper because he's done what he's had to do. Like he's been there, he's won the races, and on his bad nights he's managed. So I I don't want to see him fail. Like obviously I want to beat the dude, but I'm not going to sit there and blow him out and call him names because he deserves the respect that he's led the championship, for this long, and we have 2 races left, and he's got the points lead, and basically, he's in a good spot. So I
You're not
guess
seething over. Damn it! I wish. I'm
yeah,
so
like
mad that he's doing well.
yeah,
You're not.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's just simply because, like, dude, I truly believe that you got to give people the respect that they deserve. So, like, for to see people always want to see me fail, and not even me, dude, just in general, like, people want to see the Warriors lose so bad. People want to see the Patriots lose so bad,
Mm-hmm.
and there's always people that want to see other people fail, and I guess I just don't get it because it's just like, dude, if someone's doing well and they're winning and they have something figured out, give them the credit that they deserve and try to beat them. And that's just, that's the bottom line. So like, yeah, I give Cooper the credit that he's done really well this year and he's done better than I think everyone from the outside thought he was going to do. But I want to beat him and I'm going to do everything I can to beat him. But in the meantime, I'm not going to sit there and blow him out and make excuses for him as to why he's winning or if
Right.
this guy was healthy or whatever. Like the bottom line is he's currently done the best out of everyone on the gate every weekend, and he deserves credit for that.
You can make a lot more money if you just said that he doesn't deserve it, and if you prevented Eli from passing you, and if you took Osborne out a few times, you'd be a
Yeah,
billionaire. You'd be a
yeah,
billionaire.
dude, I tell you what, yeah, I'd be a fan favorite.
I think that's what they want half the time. All right, I'm just glad that it's turning a little bit because at this point, if you're getting like 4th and 5th most weekends, which you've been in that zone, at the very least, people can't say you don't deserve the ride. We'll see how it turns out in the future, but I have a feeling it'll probably go a little bit smoother whenever you get whatever happens for next year.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure. I mean, you'd be surprised. There's those people that are like, oh, well, I think this guy deserves it more. This guy would do better. It's like it's one of those things. I'll never win, but I agree with you. Like I feel like I've proven my point, and like I can be a threat and a contender week in and week out. And it's just yeah, it's tough. Being on it's tough being on the side that I was on, but I'm making my way
yeah.
more towards the not completely hated on social media, and like I said, I'm gonna continue to do my best to try to be more active and fan friendly because who would have thought 10 years ago that social media would be as important as it is today.
Yeah, I'd imagine some of the people in your corner there probably learned. I mean, you got some old school people around you. They probably didn't realize it worked that way either because it didn't exist or didn't work that way.
Yep.
I mean, RC was all about just like stay humble, use the
Yep.
scoreboard, don't say. I mean, we wanted more, but he wasn't giving it to us. And same thing with you. You're trying not to go there, which should be a
Yep.
good thing, but
Yeah,
not
no,
today.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, this has been awesome. Thanks for taking the questions head on. Although it sounds like these are things you already knew, so it's not like your social media has already been you've been hit with this stuff before, so it wasn't like I was asking anything you've never heard about or thought about before.
Yep,
But I
exactly.
appreciate it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, it's late enough, and well, you're not riding tomorrow, but I guess you're at least recovering or something, right?
Dude, I don't even know what I'm doing something. I don't
Well,
know what.
it's probably been hammered down since when? October, September.
Dude, I went
Yeah.
straight from Indiana the last round and went straight to California and got on the bike. So like I haven't stopped. I took a week off here for my bachelor trip. I took a week off for the wedding. But like, dude, I literally flew straight from Indiana to California to get on the bike to start riding and getting ready. So like I haven't stopped.
Yeah, that's end of August. It's not even September.
Yeah. No, trust me, like I've been going a minute.
Okay. All right, get some rest then.
Yeah, will do. Appreciate it, man.
This is awesome. Thanks for it.
Yeah, no worries.
So there it is. Over an hour with Joey Savatgy in 2 parts. Hope you enjoyed that. And all he did was just give honest answers, which I think is all anyone really wants. I know it's hard to win, as he was saying, and I was saying it's hard to win. It's hard to get it exactly right. But in general, honesty, the best policy. So I'm glad he wanted to do that. And that makes it better for us and probably better for him. It's a two-way street. Honesty always works. Thanks to Yoshimura. That's our title sponsor of the Exhaust Podcast, Yoshimura-RD.com. They've got everything you need, your 4-stroke exhaust systems. If you're serious, it's Yoshimura 2019 systems for new bikes such as KTMs and Husqvarnas in stock now. And it's all made and designed right in the United States. It's in California. I've been there. I've watched pipes being made in the U.S. It's pretty cool. Also, Racer X, we have the new issue of the magazine out as title bound with Cooper Webb on the cover. A good story with Brock Tickle. A good story about that very famous Ricky Carmichael photo that we covered on the podcast a couple of weeks ago in there. A Daytona Bike Week story. And I'm working on not 1, but 2 features for the next issue of the magazine. So subscribe now. We have a link to subscribe at our website, and you can see the new digital edition for free at digital.racerxonline.com. Also go to racerxbrand.com and check out our clothing, our hats, our backpacks, our accessories. 20% off. Type in exhaust in all capital letters. That's it for our show this week. I am headed to the homeland, New Jersey. Be sure to join us. We have a live show this Friday night, The Loft at Riverside Manor in Paterson, New Jersey, from 7 to 9. The legendary Barry Costin, my all-time hero, my all-time favorite, to the point where I had interviewed James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael, Chad Reed, the big stars of the sport when I first broke in. I'd interviewed those guys dozens of times, maybe 100 times, maybe hundreds of times before I ever got the courage up to finally speak to Barry Karsten. Because if you're from New Jersey like I am, Barry is a legend on a much higher plane than anyone else. So we're going to talk about Barry. We're going to talk to Barry. We're going to talk with Barry. My buddies Steve Mathis, Jason Thomas, and Davey Coombs will be with us on stage all night long. So come to the Loft at Riverside Manor. Go to racerxonline.com. We have a link where you can get all the information to buy tickets, or just show up before 7 o'clock. We'll get you in. Thanks for all the support, folks. We'll be back next week. The Racer X Exhaust Podcast by Yoshimura. See ya.